Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good afternoon. It is the Earthmaster back here on this Tuesday. I believe it's Tuesday. Yep, June 27th, 2023. It is about 11:49 a.m. here along the West Coast. Latest quake shows a 1.4 earthquake into the area of Alaska. A little bit of movement overnight, scattered about the globe. But first, I want to jump into, if you didn't get a chance to catch up here on the Space Weather Prediction Center, they've just updated their Geoelectric Field map, which is currently available to the public. What is the Geoelectric Field map? Well, that's basically a measure of the induction hazard to artificial conductors, such as the electrical power lines that results from geomagnetic activity. And this type of map and energy shown on the map can basically pinpoint where potential issues could come about, far as electrical grids and power operations for the most part. So it can be used to estimate the amount of current induced by integrating along the conducting pathway. So when we get these geomagnetic storms that kick up here, whether it's through CMEs or a solar flare, this will give us a good indicator of potential where issues could be coming about as far as power grids and whatnot, along with many other things that depend on, obviously, electricity. This field map here is the 1 minute data. As you can see, this was just put out. I will provide a link to this website if you wish to check it out. A lot of folks don't know about it, but it's kind of an interesting map to look at when we do get space weather. Right now, things looking fairly minor out there across the states. All right, as far as earthquake activity goes, get a little bit of movement back down here into the Tonga area. Once again, we're seeing that deeper movement return into the Tonga Trench. Had a couple earthquakes overnight, well below 500 kilometers deep here. We'll watch this area further for some surface activity. It's been bouncing back and forth here as far as deeper movement quakes and surface earthquake activity over the past week and a half, 2 weeks or so. So continue to keep that area in mind for some potential movement. And of course, the New Zealand area sits down there just along the plate boundary. I'm still expecting that to move. Not for sure why it hasn't moved yet, but I believe that's going to happen pretty soon. Also some activity here across the New Guinea area where we've seen a 5.0. Looks as though today, at least according to the EMSC model and the globe, we're lacking activity within this region. Normally we'll see quite a few 2s and 3s. Now, it's possible, let's see here. I wonder if the EMSC is reporting on it. I still have the EMSC World Last 50 and the USGS 7-day map on here. But I'm not seeing anything below the 4.0 threshold, so I'm not for sure what's going on. I'll have to check that out in a little bit. Either way, it looks like absence of earthquake activity, and that's very rare. So it looks like maybe there's an issue with the EMSC model going on. I'll check that here in a little bit. In fact, what I see, this almost looks just like the USGS map alone. So not for sure what's going on. I'll check it out. Either way, 5.1 here off the coast of Peru, it looks like. Let's go ahead and zoom over here to the South America region. That earthquake, well, Ecuador, close. And it is, looks like it's just on shore, 5.1 coming in about 7 o'clock this morning. Somewhat shallow, 36 kilometers deep. We did see some deeper movement quake activity here into the Colombian Trench, right? Notice these mountain ranges here. This is a major subduction zone. That earthquake, 152 kilometers deep, could be applying some further stress in this region. Hence the earthquake activity we've seen this morning up into the Ecuador area. Now down south, looks like this earthquake here outside of the Santiago, Chile area, 4.6, 65 kilometers deep. And again, can't really see any of these smaller quakes out here because it's just not being listed up here on the globe. I'll definitely reset this here in a little bit and see if it picks it back up. But yeah, I'm not seeing EMSC model data here on the map. So let's go over here to the GeoNet servers as well. Since for the most part, USGS will not show a whole lot of activity down here in New Zealand unless it's above a certain level. Looks like we had a couple earthquakes here. Of course, yesterday we did have some 3s. The latest one on the map is going to be a 2.4. And obviously there's going to be some smaller earthquakes out there, the unnoticed ones. But that's very typical along a major plate boundary. Looking at the earthquake drums, this is the Webby quarters, the seismograph stations there that record and monitor all the seismic data. Well, there's not a whole lot currently, except for the ones there from yesterday and late last night. Couple threes kicking off there. All right, into the states. Well, what do we got here? Southern California, one earthquake here, right smack dab on this junction that I'm always concerned about, the Garlock Fault, the San Andreas Fault, a couple other fault systems here. Of course, that's a plate boundary, right, between the North American and the Pacific Plate. That earthquake right smack dab in that area where there's just a spider web of systems. 2.0 near Fraser Park, 13 kilometers deep. We'll continue to watch that. This area has seen a little bit of movement here in the last couple days, specifically around this area that's just littered with mini faults. Further down south, a little activity across the San Jacinto fault zone and a little bit on the San Andreas fault here today, just outside the Banning area. Into the rest of the state, a little spotty activity through San Jose. And up here in Reno, Nevada, still watching this area. It's been swarming off and on here. Latest one, though, shows a 5 o'clock, at least one in the 5 o'clock a.m. range, 1.2, just outside that swarming region. Northern California, a little spotty, one earthquake outside here of the Eureka area. It's a 1.4. That earthquake coming in... looks like just after midnight or yesterday. That's almost 24 hours old, so that will be dropping off the map. All right, Pacific Northwest, relatively quiet. One earthquake out here on the Sawtooth Fault System. Southern Idaho. They call this Southern Idaho up here? Okay. Interesting. 10 kilometers deep. Yellowstone National Park. Not a whole lot showing on there, but we will double check with the Yellowstone overview. Let me refresh this and make sure we got the most recent data. Yeah, Yellowstone's been a very quiet, a lack of activity here recently. Even earthquake swarms have been very minimal. So not for sure what's going on. In general, though, technically in general, the West Coast California area has been very quiet, very quiet. Obviously, there's microquake activity kicking up here, but that's, it's always common to see microquake activity. But as far as the movement goes, these little swarms pop up here and there around Nevada, but goodness, I don't know. The West Coast has been a little absent of any earthquake activity as far as anything worth noting. 1.6 out in the Pawnee, Oklahoma area. 7.4 kilometers deep for that earthquake. Up into the Alaska region, a couple smaller quakes here in the last hour or so. 2.5 map and above. Well, very minimal activity out there today. Not a whole lot going on through the Aleutian Trench or the Japan area. We do have one earthquake here near the Volcano Islands area. See if I can spit that out. Quite a few seamounts here. That's what you're seeing listed here on the map. 94 kilometers deep, though, so that tells me it's down there into the trench, a portion either of the Mariana Trench or the Izu Trench here. That's on the eastern side of the Philippine Plate. And, of course, activity around Afghanistan was kicking up yesterday. Not a whole lot there today. Yeah, see, EMSC is missing. There's no way we'd have no activity out here. So I'll reset that here right after this update and find out what's going on. Because right now, that's only showing USGS data here on the globe. All right, what else we got here for space weather? Jump into the solarham.net site. Have a little bit of C-flare activity over the last couple hours. Right here, we did actually peek out here into an M-flare. It looks like very low-grade M-flare on the graph. That's coming from, I believe, this sunspot region that has grown overnight, 3354. Notice the complex colors here, indicating some strength. And this thing is strengthening as it's rotating, or at least traveling here across the surface. I don't know about the surface, but here on the sun, the visible disk of the sun directly lined up with Earth. So we'll watch this here. It's very geo-effective if anything were to blast off from that spot. Also, this regional sunspot on the northwestern quadrant of the sun still looks like it may harbor some potential for some strong flares, but that is obviously going to be disappearing off the western portion here of the sun. This one, got to watch this one. This one looks fairly dynamic. 3354 is the potential there. Looks like we got a little bit of flaring kicking up currently from that sunspot. Notice this little bright feature. Nothing big, but it's definitely complex, and it's right in position where it could be a nice bullseye shot for the Earth if we get a good CME blasting off there. Let's see, no major solar weather conditions here kicking up, but we will be checking out these maps here in our updates just to, you know, kind of bring about knowledge and information on how space weather, storms and whatnot can affect the electrical grid, and what the Space Weather Prediction Center is kind of doing about it, as far as you know, putting out these maps here, not only for the general public, but also obviously utility companies and major folks that depend on the electrical grid can look at you know, where potential issues could arise from space weather. Again, I'll leave this in the description below. Also comes with a little play button here. This goes minute data. This is minute data. That's pretty crazy. All right, what else we got here for the Storm Prediction Center? Let's check this out here real quick, see what's going on. Looks like they added, goodness, they added a moderate risk for severe weather today. That includes not a strong tornado threat. That's only 2%. It looks like the main thing is going to be some damaging wind. These straight line winds can kick in from thunderstorms or outflow winds and really cause havoc there on a large scale. So it looks like 45% probability. That's a pretty significant wind threat across portions. Looks like Dodge City, but the hatched area includes a wider area. But as far as the 45% threat goes, it looks like Dodge City, Kansas. Maybe a portion of Oklahoma, too, as well. That almost looks like it's into the Pratt area of Kansas. Big time wind event out there today. So if you're out and about, look for those straight line winds with any thunderstorm that may develop in that area. A little bit of hail threat out there as well. So you mix in some high wind, some baseball size hail, and then you get quite a bit of damage going on. All right, folks, have a good day. Got a somewhat busy day today. I will chat you guys a little bit later on this evening with the update video. Make sure you guys subscribe here while you're watching the video. It does help out this channel and, of course, the algorithms that YouTube uses out here. So let's keep this going. We'll catch you guys back here a little bit later tonight. Have a good one, folks.